for this scenario to work. It would require some changes and some added backstory for Beerus and the other gods of destruction. We know from Whis asking Goku and Vegeta about them potentially wanting to be the next god of destruction that mortals can become a god. So, the added backstory for the gods of destruction is that, at one point, they all used to be mortals before becoming a god. So, the major changes would be that after Zamasu makes his comments about how mortals shouldn't have divine power, Goku would pass on the information about how the gods of destruction were mortals at one point, so it isn't unheard of for mortals to get divine energy. Also, as a side note, this Zamasu I'm talking about here is normally the one that would have wished for Goku's body, though these changes apply to the Zamasu from our timeline as well. Anyway, this is where things change, as the thought of mortals becoming gods angers him, but it especially angers him that destroyers like Beerus are training other mortals, such as Goku, to harness divine power. Of course, he'd be angered by all the gods of destruction being mortals, but Beerus is the only one he knows of that is training mortals. So, when he makes his Zero Mortals plan, he decides to take Beerus' body instead. Since he required a time ring for his plans, he still kills Goku and takes his Potara, thus becoming the Supreme Kai of Universe 10. This allows him to wield the time ring, so he then uses it to go into the future. Once there, he uses the Super Dragon Balls to wish to switch bodies with Beerus. Like how he decided to kill Goku after taking his body, he would decide to do the same with Beerus. Before that, though, something to briefly talk about is the life link between Beerus and Shin. We don't know exactly how it works and if it's just their bodies or souls that are linked, but I think it's their souls. This way, it would allow Zamasu to kill Beerus, since it's still his soul dying. Otherwise, if it was their bodies that were linked, if he kills Shin, Zamasu would die too. Basically, I decided to write it as their souls being linked so Zamasu doesn't accidentally take himself out. Now, as for him killing Beerus, Zamasu wouldn't have total control over his new body, so he wouldn't be nearly as strong as Beerus was. The same would go for Beerus, though, who is now in Zamasu's body, so he wouldn't be as strong as normal either. This essentially gives Zamasu the chance to kill Beerus in his old body, as the former god is too weak to do anything. Of course, this would make Whis inactive and cause the Shin of that time to die as well. Normally, Zamasu needed to use a time ring to find a timeline without the god of destruction, so that they couldn't meddle with his affairs. This time, however, he leaves this timeline so that he would be in a timeline where there aren't any ties to him taking Beerus as his body. After all, future Beerus died many years ago and future Shin died in the fight against future Babidi and future Deborah. This also works out in Zamasu's favor, because as far as we know, there just isn't a god of destruction overseeing Universe 7 in the future timeline. So if he really wanted to, he could pretend to be future Beerus, as the other gods likely wouldn't have any idea he had died. Regardless, once Zamasu arrives in the future, he goes to Universe 10's Sacred World of the Kai. This is where he pretends to be Beerus, as he has a plan for how to get stronger in this body. Instead of just killing Goku and the other Supreme Kai, he plans to fight the gods of destruction to learn more about their abilities and power, which he'd likely start off with fighting the god of destruction from his own universe, Rumshi. Until Zamasu gets better control of Beerus' body, it would likely be tough fights against the gods. Though as time went on, he would adapt to the body more, so these fights would get easier for him. After Rumshi is killed, he would go and meet up with future Zamasu, as he even allies with him now that future Goku was dead because of him killing Rumshi. After this, they gather the Super Dragon Balls and make a wish for future Zamasu to be made immortal. They would then go into the future another year to wish for the Super Dragon Balls to be destroyed, so that their wishes can't be reverted. A potential thing to mention is that by fighting them, he might pick up on a technique the gods of destruction have access to, Ultra Ego. Like how Goku Black picked up on Super Saiyan after fighting Goku, Zamasu could pick up on Ultra Ego after fighting the gods of destruction. At first, it might be difficult for Zamasu to use, but later it would be an asset to him. After all, he would continue to get stronger in the fights he uses the technique in. Over time, he would have fought and killed the other 11 gods of destruction. This would cause the Supreme Kai to die as well, of course. After this, the main part of their plan began, as he traveled to many different planets and eradicated all forms of life on them. He was destroying them for the sake of justice, and he was destroying them under the name Beerus. When he eventually arrived on Earth, he would go on a rampage and wipe out half of the Earth in his first attack. Normally, if this was Zamasu and Goku's body, this is where the people of Earth would start calling him Goku Black. But since they don't know about the regular Beerus, they don't have a reason to call him Beerus Black, so they just call him Beerus. For the sake of not causing confusion, though, I will refer to him as Beerus Black from here on out. Regardless, after Black's first attack, resistance cells formed and Mai led them. The Trunks also helped with the resistance. Normally, he would have gotten into combat with Goku Black many times, but fighting Beerus Black is a whole other ballgame. Beerus Black would be leagues above Trunks in power, so if anything, Trunks would just be a minor annoyance to Beerus Black. My point is I don't see future Trunks surviving these initial encounters before they can gather enough fuel for the time machine. Especially with Beerus Black having picked up on the destruction abilities of the god of destruction, Trunks would have no counter to this, so he is destroyed. After that, the human resistance would have been rooted out and eradicated by Beerus Black as well. Of course, Mai would still have interacted and worked with Bulma to try and get enough fuel for the time machine, but as usual, Beerus Black would discover their hideout. He would end up killing Bulma while Mai escaped the Capsule Corporation. Even there, though, he'd be able to find Mai, so she can't teleport away like Trunks could. She would be erased by Beerus Black, too. Then once he finds the time machine, he destroys it as well. From here on out, Beerus Black and Zamasu would continue the destruction of the universes and the eradication of mortals. I couldn't decide if I should have Zamasu succeed at his goals, or if Xeno would step in early enough to stop him from eradicating all universes. So, like with my Martian Piccolo video, I'm going to make 2 separate endings for this scenario, and you can choose which ending to watch. The top video is the ending where Beerus Black and Zamasu achieve their goals, while the bottom video is the ending where Xeno intervenes and stops him from completing their Zero Mortals plan.